Good Wednesday morning, and thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, the voice you know with the news you trust studio, sponsored by BASF and Zidua, the most trusted name in herbicides, providing Ohio soybean and corn acres with up to 2 weeks more residual activity and broad-spectrum weed control. I'm Dusty Sonnenberg reporting. Under cloudy skies, I've got 33 degrees on the barn thermometer, but we're looking for a high in the lower 60s today. I'm getting ready to make my way to Fostoria, Ohio, as Ag Credit will be having their annual meeting, and it's going to be a breakfast meeting this year. This quick calendar reminder, coming up tomorrow, Ritchie Brothers is having a large auction. That's on Thursday, March the 26th. You can visit rbauction.com for complete details. Let's get a quick check of what's making agricultural headlines at ocj.com, brought to us by Timothy Incorporated. Research from Ohio State is showing that autonomous high-clearance irrigators can improve crop yields, nutrient use efficiency, and resiliency to weather stress. You can check out the article about autonomous irrigation systems. Now, if you're looking for a podcast to listen to, the Ohio Field Leader podcast is out with episode 68. We explore the Science for Success program with Dr. Laura Lindsay from Ohio State, as well as Carrie Ortell from Virginia Tech and Taylor Dill with the Ohio Soybean Council, taking an in-depth look at tissue testing and in particular potassium recommendations. You can listen to the full podcast right now through a link at ohioagnet.com. Up today, also commentary from Doc Sanders as he takes a look back at a dairy farmer and cattle dealer whose life completely turned around over time. And speaking of cattle, Dr. Haley Linder from Ohio State has an article about managing first calf heifers. All that and more at ohioagnet.com. And this reminder that Timty is now factory direct in Sidney, Ohio. From trailer sales to parts and trailer service, our team is ready to keep you moving. Stop in today or call them at 326-206-2062. Well, with spring now upon us, it's time to start thinking about managing that wheat crop. Joel Penorwood files this report.
It's hard to believe, but time to be thinking about spring wheat management already. And that's the topic in the latest of our agronomic video series online at ohioagnet.com. Beck's Hybrids field agronomist Mike Hennewald checks in.
The wheat has started to green up as we've had some warmer temperatures. It takes 2 weeks of 40 degrees to break dormancy, and we're getting to about that point. Now, the best thing to do is to come out and take some time to do some tiller counts. I know it can be a little tedious, but it's worth the effort. In a 7.5-inch row, you're going to measure out 19.2 inches. That's equal to 1 square foot. But we're ultimately looking for 70 to 100 tillers per square foot.
He has some quick tips on nutrient management by growth stage. Important to keep in mind.
The range that we're looking at for nitrogen applications range between Feeks 3 and Feeks 5. So wheat, as it goes into dormancy, is about usually between Feeks 2 and Feeks 3. So Feeks 3 is when we start to see those tillers have finished forming and those tillers are established. We have until the end of Feeks 5 to get our nitrogen on. And that's going to be about a month from now. We've got plenty of time yet before that happens. So Feeks 6 is when your first joint appears. That's that node that shows up in the stem, that bump in the stem. When that shows up, we want to have all of our nitrogen done at that point by that Feeks 6 growth stage. If you're in a situation where you've got good tiller counts and you still want to split your application, put a third of it on after that wheat has fully greened up and started to grow a little bit, and then come back at Feeks 5 and add your second shot of 2/3. Or if you're going to do a single pass program, just make that single pass prior to that Feeks 6 growth stage.
Renew your knowledge about early spring wheat management online at ohioagnet.com. Scroll down to the video section. I'm Joel Penorwood reporting.
Thanks, Joel. Well, let's take a look at your Wednesday weather forecast now, brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance. Learn more at seedconsultants.com.
Dry and mild here for your Wednesday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Quick forecast update for you. In Ohio, we see beautiful weather today. Sunny and pleasant. Tomorrow, temperatures are even warmer. However, we are seeing a little bit of moisture sneak into southwest Ohio tomorrow morning to midday. Showers and thunderstorms there. The rest of the state just sees clouds increase. And then a frontal boundary sags southward out of Canada and across the Great Lakes for tomorrow night through Friday morning to midday. I think we could have to put in anywhere out of these two systems combined 1/2 to 1.5 inches of precipitation. Then we dry down, but we're quite chilly for Friday afternoon. Staying chilly on Saturday, warming Sunday, Monday. Dry all the way through that stretch. We start to see moisture get a little bit more active across the region next Tuesday, the 31st. And from the 31st through about the 7th or 8th, 4 fronts come through with potential all in, all done for 1 to 2.5 or more inches of precipitation. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more after this.
Hey farmers, planting season is almost here, and Ohio AgNet wants to bring lunch to your farm. Our Feeding Farmers contest is going statewide, and we'll soon be picking farms across Ohio to receive a visit from the Ohio AgNet and free lunch for your farm family and crew. If you'd like us to stop by, get signed up today. Just visit ohioagnet.com/feedingfarmers to enter. Feeding Farmers is brought to you by Ag Revolution, Paradise Energy Solutions, and the Ohio AgNet. The voice you know with the news you trust.
Thanks, Ty, and welcome back to the Ohio AgNet. Let's check in now with Brianna Smith as she has an update on autonomous irrigation and nutrient management systems.
Joining me is Andrew Kloffenstein. Andrew is a senior research engineer at the Ohio State University College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences. Andrew, you've been doing a lot of research and project work around robotic irrigation technology that can be used to apply nutrients throughout the season. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so this is a project that started several years ago, and we have a technology that we sat in a meeting and heard about prototypes and started talking about what the technology could do, and it's a fully autonomous irrigator, and it has 3,000 feet of high-density plastic hose on that, and it's 3-inch in diameter, and it doesn't drag the hose. If it drags the hose, you're going to drag across the crop. So lays it out, goes back and forth in the field, and irrigates or puts on nutrients right at the base of the plant. And it's really nice because you can do low volume. It's not like a traditional center pivot, and you can do any field shape and size. And it gives you a real opportunity to start taking some of those nutrient passes that we have troubles and application timing and windows, and puts them on right at the base of the plant when the plant needs it. And we saw an opportunity in this, and we wrote a research grant, and we have a couple different funding opportunities. One is a CIG grant from NRCS, and then we have H2 Ohio that's also contributed to help demonstration, and specifically looking at animal nutrients as well, because we talk about animal nutrients, a serious problem that we face here in the state of Ohio, and being able to put those on timely and not have those move off into the watershed, and being able to cross or traverse the field throughout the growing season is a tremendous benefit. If we look at the water movement, typically in your bookends when we're applying nutrients or manure, the movement of the water is down, and that's a real challenge for us in the ag industry, and there are a lot of dollars going into that. And when you can put them on in the growing season, water's going up, crops are growing and producing. Water's going up, so we don't have to worry about that off-site movement, and we saw opportunities with this technology and continue to do research in that area.
What are some of the different research aspects you're doing with this machine right now?
So we have 3 different sites, or 3 different fields, 2 sites here in Ohio. We also work with Iowa State, and they're focused on animal nutrients. The first site is a field at Tamale Care and Ag Center at Ohio State, and that field has 3 treatments. We have one that's dry land, full nutrients, and then we have a second that is irrigated, full nutrients, and then the third is a third less of the nutrients applied in season. So that's looking at if you're putting on nitrogen, a third less of that. And we're finding no statistical difference in that application compared to full rate, which is really exciting to us. Applying a third less nutrients really means a lot in the industry right now. And then our other site is a sort of our sandbox we get to play with, and whatever we come up with each year, and that's varied a little bit. And then our third site at Beck's Hybrids, they've been a tremendous support for us, and that's looking at water quality. We have water quality monitoring in that. And the challenge, there's good things. We need to be doing water quality research and continuing to do that. But if you have dry years, there's no water quality data. Had a couple dry years, and when you have no water going through field tile or surface, there's not a lot of data there. So we're continuing to work at it. Look at the water quality aspect is huge when we start looking at technologies to be implemented by this system, and that's going to sort of lead to the dry skid, which is where there's been a lot of interest here.
To learn more about Andrew's research on autonomous irrigation, visit ohioagnet.com. Reporting for Ohio's Country Journal and Ohio AgNet, I'm Brianna Smith.
Thanks, Brianna. Let's check in now with Joe Everett as he has an update, as it is scholarship season, especially this time for young sheep producers.
Applications are open for the American Sheep Industry Association's annual Sheep Heritage Foundation Scholarship. The deadline to apply is May 31st, and the recipient will be announced in July. The $3,000 scholarship will be awarded to one graduate-level master's or doctoral student who is attending school in the United States. The scholarship was developed to drive advancement in the American sheep industry through either wool or lamb research. Applicants must be graduate students involved in sheep or wool research in areas like animal science, agricultural economics, or veterinary medicine with proof of graduate school acceptance. Applicants must also be U.S. citizens, present 2 letters of reference, and complete the application. Again, the deadline to apply is May 31st. For more information or to apply, go to sheepusa.org. Reporting for the Ohio AgNet, I'm Joe Everett.
Thanks, Joe. Stay tuned. We'll be back to take a look at your markets after this.
Nearly 90% of farmers say that financial worries, constantly changing market conditions, and other uncontrollable variables take a toll on their mental well-being. Add in the weather and family dynamics, well, it's a lot to handle alone. But did you know farmers and their families can receive free confidential services from licensed professionals? Support is available 24/7 to help with the challenges you face. Look for Farm Family Wellness Alliance under the Resources tab at farmfoundation.org. Take care of yourself. Your well-being matters.
Looking for heavy equipment but don't know where to buy? Purple Wave Auction has you covered. Always online and always no reserve. It's your destination for construction or ag equipment ready to work. We even sell semis, trailers, and fleet equipment for your operation. Best part? It's free to join. Head to purplewave.com. That's purplewave.com. Sign up for a free account and start bidding today. Purple Wave Auction, the easiest and most straightforward way to buy and sell equipment.
Taking a look at your livestock news, it was an interesting day at the Mercantile Exchange. As the livestock was trading mostly lower in the morning, traders were looking for continued fundamental support with box beef prices mixed, pork cutouts lower, and throughput slow, and traders needed something bullish to arrive this week to help keep contracts stable. Now, as we got closer to midday, they became mixed, heading with fundamental support from stronger midday box beef prices, but lean hog contracts were trading lower as the traders simply did not have enough support to push those contracts higher. Let's take a look at what's impacting the markets. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to bring a brand new soybean crush facility to Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Learn more about marketing your soybeans with LDC at 574-566-2113.
Markets ground their way mostly higher by the close of business yesterday. It was a choppy day overall as we were dealing with mixed war messaging. That's what led to the extreme choppiness in the Board of Trade, where we saw a strong presence in one direction through most of the day was in the energy markets. Crude oil was up pretty much all day long. New levels of gas prices in the region were seen yesterday as a large part of the Eastern Corn Belt saw prices at the pump go over $4 on unleaded. And, of course, diesel is in that low fives range in a lot of areas as well. Bullish traders are noting that in a week we have the March stocks and seeding report on the wheat side and the prospective plantings report on the other row crop side. We're trying to turn that into something. And also, it's late enough in the month to say that an RVO announcement could come any day. Some folks are still betting on later this week because it was National Ag Day yesterday. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Let's take a look now at how your markets closed on Tuesday. This recap of the markets brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. May corn closed up 3 cents and July corn was up 2. May soybeans closed down 8.5 cents while July soybeans were down 7.5. May Kansas City wheat closed up 3/4 of a penny while May Chicago wheat was up 2 1/4 cents and May Minneapolis wheat was up 4 1/4. Taking a look now at the overnight trade, May corn is down 2 3/4 cents at $4.59 3/4 cents. July corn down 2 1/4 at $4.70 1/4, and corn held to September down 2 1/4 cents at $4.72 3/4 cents. Soybeans for May are trading down 2 1/4 cents in the overnight at $11.52 3/4. July beans down a penny and 3/4 at $11.69 3/4 cents, and soybeans in August down 2.5 cents at $11.64 1/4. Wheat for July, that new crop down 4.5 cents at $5.97 a bushel. September wheat down 4 3/4 at $6.11 1/4, and December wheat down a nickel at $6.28 3/4 cents. Turning now to livestock, April live cattle closed the day up 7.5 cents, $235.37 1/2 cents, but June cattle were down a nickel at $234.60. April lean hogs closed 25 cents higher at $91.05, but May hogs were down 17.5 cents at $95.47 1/2 cent. This is the Ohio AgNet.